You're listening to the Just Wins podcast, where we discuss winners, black bookers, and much more. Enjoy the show.
Can he do it? Chautauqua, he's flying! Yes! There's history!
But a champion becomes a legend! Dane Ripper has won it! The pride of Australia is the greatest show on earth.
Welcome back, everyone, for episode 7 of the Just Wins podcast. This week we're a week after the Stradbroke, and it's going to be the 13th of June 2020. Our Group 1 banter, there's no Group 1s this week, so we're going to just look at the Dane Ripper Stakes. But first, let's introduce to you our two other panellists. Lee, you out there, mate?
Yeah, how you going, mate?
Good. And Adam, you with us?
I'm here, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I'm your host, Just Wins, as usual, and I just wanted to ask you, Adam, how'd you go last week? I hear you got a bit of a win there in Sydney.
Yeah, mate. We got a bit of a win in Sydney. Dealmaker had a good price. Well, hopefully those who heard the podcast last week got on early. It was because we could have got double figures about Dealmaker there, but he ended up starting around 650 and winning very impressively, albeit on a wet track and a bit of a strange playing track. But it was a good win. Hopefully he can continue winning a couple more. And we also got a winner with Lombardo in Adelaide. Another one who was well back, started odds on. But yeah, really strapping type who seems to have a few screws loose, but definitely a lot of talent there. So it'll be interesting to see how he progresses. But glad we got the win on him on the weekend.
Yeah, and it's great to see that, you know, the guys that listen to the podcast on the Friday when it's produced, they can lock in those prices because Dealmaker was absolutely smashed in. And, you know, on the turn, I even said to you, geez, off the bit, he looks gone, and he was able to get going and won pretty convincingly. And same as Lombardo, he was $2.50 or something when you gave him out, had a few scratchings. But yeah, he's got no idea what he's doing, that bloke, but he still wins quite well. So I'm sure next prep he'll probably be even bigger and better. Lee, mate, how'd you go in Melbourne?
Started off the day really well with Prezado. Never really looked in doubt. As soon as he popped out, it was game over. And then the other two runs were really poor. Dargo went backwards from the 400, and then Southern Rock looked like, I don't know, something was wrong there maybe, but it was really poor as well. I haven't seen the steward's report, so I can't answer on both of those and why they went so poorly, but it is what it is. And then, unfortunately, Massimo got done on the line, and that would have produced some profit for us. So, but all in all, not a bad day. Probably my best run. Didn't quite win, but that was in the JJ Atkins Thunder Mania, around 5th. I ended up getting it at 50-1, which I was pretty happy about, and I thought it was going to come home and sneak into a place, but it was a really good run for 5th, so I'd be watching it further. It'd probably be out over a trip, maybe 1,600. It looks pretty good for it, but it was really good late. So all in all, not a bad day.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. Don't they come up here to Caloundra after the big Brizzy races?
I think so, yeah. Well, usually they run the, Caloundra Carpet and the Caloundra Guineas and Oaks and stuff like that. It's usually before the Oaks, which is whenever that is. I think that's one of the last days, usually on the carnival. So Winks, she won the Sunshine Coast Guineas. That was a first in a long picket fence. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what's happening up there due to restrictions and that sort of stuff and zoning and all that sort of thing. So they'll be interested to see if they actually put any quality races on up there over the carnival, or whether they just keep it to the sort of Friday nights and what they've been doing lately.
Yeah, well, I was just saying, with Thunder Mania being with the Sheila Laxon camp, he's definitely one to follow if they go there. For me in Brisbane, I gave a unit back. We had Ballistic Boy really won well, which was great to see. Red Stina missed the start. She's a bit of a head case, that horse, and she runs around this week, but I think the bookies will be willing to lay her again. I had a couple of long shots that went okay but weren't in the money, and unfortunately Nicanova was steaming home and just had a few things go against it, but should have finished a bit closer. But that's what happens in this game. We can't get them all the time, but hopefully we get them the next time. Boys, I thought since we're talking about the big races, we could go straight into the Dane Ripper Stakes, a bit of banter to start off with. As I usually do, I do a little bit of history. And I was going back through the winners, and it's been a long time between drinks for the Queensland train winners, going all the way back to Chinchilla Rose winning in 2009. We've had Waterhouse and Waller. They've won plenty during that time, with Waller producing back-to-back winners in Invincibella and Red Tracer, a couple of absolute stars. And it was good to see Red Tracer's progeny. Would she run 4th or 5th last week? Can't remember. Can't even remember
4th.
His name.
Overlord.
Overlord, that's the one. In the same colours. Back to the Dane Ripper. Previous form races, you've got those Group 3 lead-ins over the 1300, 13 to 50, 2 weeks prior. And then also you've got the Sydney form with the Group 2 Dark Jewel Classic at Scone. And also every now and then there's the Queen of the Turf features later on. From my point of view, I think there's going to be a lot of speed in this, and you've got the likes of Irathea, Ready to Profit, and Shalwa. They'll be wanting to take a big lead and a good tempo. I found it quite difficult to pin down a winner. It's a tough way for punters to finish the day, but I'm going to have half a unit the win on Backrat Baby, who would have been a lightweight hope in the Stratty last week, but couldn't quite get in the field. And so Backrat Baby's $8, and I also just want to have half a unit win on Gen Rules at $13, who hit the line well in the Coughlin Stakes after being 3 wide midfield the trip on a leader-dominated race. What do you guys think? We'll start with Adam.
I'm in agreement with Backrat Baby, mate. I'm keen to back her each way at $8.50. She's been really good without winning in her 3 starts this prep, and I just feel race 9 at Eagle Farm, there's been a bit of rain during the week. I really think this track's going to fall apart. So as a result, I think we'll need a strong horse to get through the surface. And we know with Backrat Baby, she can run a mile. She raced over a mile last start, ran a good third there up at the Sunshine Coast. And I just think she's, as you said, behind this hot speed, she should get a decent spot midfield and hopefully get over the top of them late.
Yeah, that's good to hear that you're on Backrat as well. Lee, in agreement or with something else?
I considered Backrat Baby, but I've been on in the last 2 starts, and I'm definitely off her after she had every chance against Victory 8 last start. But
now, mate.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, that's it is what it is. We could probably do a podcast based on all the things that I've tipped and then gone off and then won the next start. So, but the one for me, I just want maybe a unit on just for banter's sake, or half a unit. Let's go half a unit just on the win. Is Winter Bride up the top. Just a quick squiz over the form, and I was off her immediately because of her duck eggs at the track. 4 goes for nothing, but I had a bit more of a look into the form, and the worst she's finished is 3 lengths in a Victory Stakes, and Redzell finished second in that. I'm excited as a Group 1 winner, won that, and then you've got 2.1 off of Invincibella in a Tiara, and then the last 2 starts have been at Eagle Farm as well. 6, 2.4 off Victorium in the Victory Stakes, and that was 0.2 of a length off Tie Zone, and they were, she was ridden up the front on that occasion. She was ridden back last start and the Strad broke, and she again comes through that Tie Zone form, which I think is really strong form, stronger than the rest of the field. So I'm happy to bank that the form's correct. The only query for me is a quick backup. She's never done that before, but I'm happy to say that form lines wise and class wise, she can win this. And as Adzi stated, I think she'll be in the best part of the track from barrier 11. And I think she'll sit just off this hot speed, maybe midfield, and come with a run at the end.
Yeah, I really liked Winter Bride's run last week in the Stratty. She really got going late, and then if you rewatch it, she gets checked by Nicanova when Nicanova cuts across. The only thing as you said, the 1 week back up with Winter Bride, and she finds it bloody hard to win, that horse. So
yeah, of late she has, hasn't she? 65 weeks between wins. So
yeah, but if you're going, what are you going, each way or the win?
No, just half a unit on the win, just for banter's sake, mate.
It'll run third now. Right.
I'll probably get beaten the nose second by Backrat Baby. You watch.
For sure.
Let's hope so, mate. All right, mate. it's great to see Moonee Valley back, and it's great to see Lee. He's going to get on it this week. I can feel it. I reckon there's some wins here. He's going to find some leaders or something behind. Hopefully, it plays well at Moonee Valley, anyways.
Yeah, hopefully, mate. I'm not usually a massive punter, apart from the big nights at Moonee Valley, but we'll see how we go. I've had a look at a fair few races and it just sort of made an assessment of where I think horses should be. But usually for me, I want to back horses with a bit of track experience or horses that will be up front and creating their own luck if they haven't had the track experience. So I think I've got three there that we can get a win on. So if we look at the track at the moment, it's rated a soft 6. I don't think we'll be on that. There's no rain suspected until potentially Saturday evening in Melbourne. So I'd say it'd probably be a 5 or a 4. I'd predict probably a 4. So I've done my form based on a little bit of group give out, but all in all, a pretty good track. So let's see how we go. First bet we're going to go with is in race 2. I'm actually going to go against Liberate, who I said I was going to stick with last time, but I'm going to go against her this time. I just feel the race doesn't pan out as well, especially from the draw, and she's got to lug 60 kilos this time in. The horse I'm going to go is number 5, Smoke Bomb, at $5 and $2. And I like to have a unit by 2 units each way because I think he's a big chance. So, like I said, I know I'm going against Liberate, and I said last start I'd stick, but I think this pans out way better for him. And he had excuses in the same race last start and was still solid. He knuckled at the start on that occasion, lost all hope from there. And his previous 2 starts were really good, in particular his last win at Cranbourne, where he worked early to lead and dominated from in front, winning by 5 in a canter, and it was a really good display. We have since seen Crimson Ace, who ran 3rd that night, come out and win 2 on the trot. And the big advantage today is the draw he receives, drawn in 2 with not a lot of speed on paper. So I'm predicting he can lead or box seat and get the best run for the track. Like I said, I want to be on horses that generally want to be up on front or are suited by it. Cranbourne's a really tricky track. It's more suited to horses that will get a tight turn. So what I've generally found is Cranbourne and Moonee Valley can kind of line up the type of form. So I'm happy to, like I said, 1 unit by 2 units each way on Smoke Bomb.
1 unit by 2 units at $5 and $2. What do you got next, mate?
Sweet. Race 7, I'm going to have a bit of a throw at the stumps here. Number 11, Saffron. It's $26 and $5.50. So I'll just have a small play, a quarter of a unit each way on him. But I thought he was better than his price suggests coming off of last start. He comes from the same race as Stablemate and Fancied Biometric, who was unlucky, don't get me wrong, but I think so was Saffron. And he got back along the rails and ran on resolutely along the rail in the worst part of the track. And that's on that Caulfield day 2 weeks ago where you just couldn't be anywhere near 5 or 6 horses on the inside. You just had to be outside runners. And he just kept coming through the line, which I think is really good. Comes into this third up and ready to go. He's out to 1,600, which is his pet trip, and only carries 54 kilos with the claim. The biggest plus for him is even though he hasn't won in a while, he has some excellent form at the track when going around as Murakeb. So if you remember Murakeb, it was sold, and obviously they've had to rename it to Saffron. And this is him. He's won 2 from 5 at the track with a second as well. So that's a flashing light for me. I think that's really good form. And also on his day, he has some really good form against some top shelf gallopers. Like he's finished under 3.5 lengths off horses like Trapeze Artist, Grunt. He ran 4th or 5th in a Epsom, 1.5 or 1.6 lengths, I think it was, off Hartnell, which is huge form for this sort of race. And if he shows his best, he can definitely be in the finish at a big price. So I'm happy to have, like I said, a quarter of a unit each way on him.
Yeah, right. He's definitely from left field. Old Murakeb went off to Maidan, it looks like, and then back to Australia and back in the hands of the Hayes team. So there you go. I would have never known if you didn't tell me that. But,
there you go. Trivia.
So yeah, that's it. So that's a quarter of a unit each way on Saffron at 26 and $5.50. And your third tip, mate?
Yeah, third tip's in the next race, race 8, number 6, Hangman. $6 and $2. I'm going against Django Freeman here, who I've said will run some really nice races. I just don't think yet. I don't think Moonee Valley is the right track either for him, but we'll see. So I'd like to have 1 unit each way on Hangman. This looks much better suited for him. He was huge last start where he went back to the tail but couldn't get in, and so he went forward and still couldn't get in. So he's hanging out on a limb 3 wide, sitting sort of 4th and 5th. Hit the front at the top of the straight, and then the winner came off its back. He really only faded in the last 100 metres. So now 2,000 metre, 5th up. This prep from a good gate should be spot on for him. And he looks to be a bit of pace engaged in the race as well. Taviron should go to the front and bowl along like it did last start. Masculino, I'd say they'll probably go forward with the wide gate. Tough Vic, I'd say they'll probably be up on speed as well. And then Auto Hoying will be there or thereabouts. Will be up in the front 4. And they all like to roll along those sort of horses. So I think he'll probably just sit just off those, maybe 6th or 7th, and I think he can finish over the top. And his stats for this sort of race are spot on, and he's exactly where I want him to be in terms of where he's going to sit. So, yeah, 1 unit each way on Hangman.
Hangman at $6 and $2.20. Hopefully he can follow the likes of Harbourview into the race and get over the top of them late. Thanks again, Lee, for the valley, and hope this starts off a winning trot for you. We'll go off to Adam in Sydney. Is it another wet weekend down there, mate?
Yes, for sure, mate. We'll be playing on a heavy track this weekend back at Rose Hill. Heavy 9 at the moment. Expected to be some showers on Friday. So I'm expecting it probably to be a heavy 9 come race day. I can't see it being any better than an 8, but hopefully we don't get a complete bog track and we can have a good go and get a few winners. The rail's in the true position, and my first bet comes up in race 7, which is going to be my best bet, number 10, Lashes, for Matthew Smith and Kieran McAvoy. This 4-year-old mare, she's second up. First up, she was beaten by Adelong, who she's up against again this week at the track and distance. This mare has a 6-kilo swing on Adelong. She goes best second up. Since that last start, they sent her around for a soft trial at Warwick Farm, where she went really well. And yeah, I just feel she can turn the tables here. She goes well on the heavy with 2 wins from 3 starts and a placing. And I also feel she maps quite well too. From the gate, I think she'll get across a few pairs back, hopefully with some cover, and yeah, hopefully can get over the top late.
Right, that's race 7, Lashes at $4.20, and yeah, I watched that trial and just doing the Irathea form, and Lashes was quite good there. So 1 or 2 units there, mate.
Let's split the difference, mate. 1.5 to win.
1.5 just to make it tricky. All right, mate. What's next?
We're going to go into the highway, which is race 2 on the card. Number 15, Art Cadeau for Terry Robinson and Tim Clark. This 3-year-old has had 3 starts this prep, 3 seconds. So I feel he's ready to win. Last start was in another highway 2 weeks ago at Rose Hill, heavy track as well, over 1,400. Ran a really good second there behind legwork. The reason I feel that he can turn the tables this week is he is up and trip. I feel that's suitable for him. He gets the weight swing on legwork also, and also if you watch the replay last start, he was in the worst going on the inside of the track, whereas legwork made his run down the middle and just got there late. But I really like the way Arcado really fought to the line. He was strong through the line, so I think up to that 1,500 is suitable. He's going to be on speed. Should only be a moderate tempo, so hopefully he can give a good kick and put him away.
All right. Are we going each way there, mate?
Yeah, half a unit each way there at about $7.
Yep, $7 and $2.50. Anything else?
I do. I just have a couple of little each way bets in race 6, both at a good price, and they're both from the Chris Waller yard, and both with good jockeys aboard. We have race 6, number 4, Matawi, and number 10, Across Dubai. I couldn't split them, so I feel just having a quarter of a unit each way on the pair of them, we should be getting a result. Matawi is second up. First up, last start, he was held up. He chased strongly, only beaten just over 2 lengths by Man of Peace and Outrageous. Up to 1,800 is a big plus. He improves with racing. He handles the wet tracks too. He's a New Zealand bred, so I don't feel that poses any problems for us. And yeah, I think he'll be strong late behind a good speed. And then the other one, as I said, number 10 with Bowman aboard, Across Dubai. This gelding is an import. He's second up in Australia. His first up run was at Rose Hill over the 1500 2 weeks ago behind Soldier of Love. He was also I wouldn't say very unlucky, but he didn't have a lot of luck. He was held up slightly and really didn't get tested. And I felt he was strong on the line. So up to 1800, that run under his belt, I expect him to improve. Bowman's sticking is really a good sign always. And, I expect him to be a touch better than midfield from the inside gate and also strong late because a lot of his form in England is over 2,000 metres. So the 1800's a big positive for him.
All right, so that's just to make it more difficult for me. It's a quarter of a unit each way on Matawi at $9.50 and $3.25. And across Dubai at $13 and $3.80.
That's it, mate.
With Huey and J Mac to the fore. All right, thanks very much, Adam, for your Rose Hill analysis. Back to the farm, back to Eagle Farm with the rail out 5 metres for the 1500 to the winning post, 4 metres the rest. Doesn't really matter at Eagle Farm. On the Thursday, it's a good 4 at the moment, but we're expecting about 10 millimetre or up to 10 millimetres on Saturday. And it's always going to be a really difficult track to try and assess. We saw last week the track played brilliantly for the Stradbroke. However, there were a few horses that came off worse for wear, just being a bit, concrete-like underneath. And then the week before, it was playing quite good, but the clods of grass was coming up. And with that rain around this week, it's going to be tricky. It's going to be really tricky. I think jockeys are going to be watching those early runs and working out how far close to the crown or outside rail they're going to get. But let's jump into race 4. I like this Sydney sider called Concealed at $7 and $2.50 the place. I'll have a half unit each way there. He's a big bull, this bloke, massive big colt. At each piece of work he gets into, he'll strip fitter. He zoomed home on debut at Kembla behind Edmund, who hit the line strong last start, beating 4.3 lengths to Anders, which was Adam's tip 2 weeks ago, and Anders would absolutely trounce this lot on the weekend. Concealed then sat handy the rail next up on the heavy 9 to grind down the winner there. Best work was late, and the third horse, Oregon, wasn't disgraced behind Achiever last Saturday. Concealed will sit handy again, and at the price, it's worth a go each way. Race 7, I'm going against Vanna Girl. I love that horse, but at the $2.40, I don't know if there's any real value. I know there'll be value if it wins, but I'm happy to go with Sky Horse at $6.50 and $2.20 for a half unit each way. There's plenty of pace in this race, and I think Sky Horse being a Tavistock and just seeing the way it runs previously in the Gunsin, it looks a real 2,000 metre horse and beyond. Even though this is an 1,800 metres today, I think with just that pace up front, it's going to suit him a bit more. Yeah, he really hit the line charging home in the Gunsin where the leader ended up winning. And there was money for him that day, $9 into $6.50. Any rain around will only enhance his prospects. Nice little each way bet. Race 8 is my third and final bet for Eagle Farm, and I'm hoping Nikonova repays us this week. I'm not going too heavy on him. I'm just going to have a unit just because I am a little bit worried about how that track will play. But at the $3.20, I think Jimmy Orman will make up for the Stratty where he, just got into trouble a little bit, had to give up half a kilo, which might have cost him. Who knows? He's won on the back up before, this horse, and he did lead that day, beating the likes of looks like Elvis. And there's not a lot of inside speed on in this race, so I feel like they're definitely going to do that again. So that is Nikonova for $3.20. Boys, let's go around the grounds. Anything from you guys? Let's start with Lee.
Yeah, I've got 2. One, I'm just going to have a half a unit each way, and that's in Perth in race 3. I'm going to go against Miss Frost in this. I just think she gets Tricky Alley, and she's going to need a fair bit of Pike Magic to get her up from there. The one I'm going to back, like I said, a half a unit each way is Mick Edith, number 7. or Makedith, however you want to say it. She was really good last start where she sort of come home really well, over 1,000 metres. They've given her 8 weeks off, so I'm not too sure if there's been a problem there, but from what I can see, that there sort of hasn't. And she's got, I guess, the best thing that's going for her is there's going to be, it was a 100% chance of rain today, tomorrow, and then about a 70% chance of rain on Saturday. So I'd say they're definitely going to be on a wet track. She's New Zealand bred. She's won on a soft over in New Zealand before they bought her and brought her over here. And then she's won on 2 soft tracks while being over in Perth, never won on a good. So, 3 from sticks in the wet. I think that's the real advantage that she's got. She's drawn perfectly in 6, should sit sort of midfield. And she's won second up before as well. So I just think at $15, I think she's a fair bit overs there. I thought she might have been about $10. So I'm happy to back her, like I said, half a unit each way.
Yeah, I'm only going to give you $15 and $3.80, mate, but that's okay if it wins. What else you got, mate?
And then the other one is in Kembla Grange, race 3, number 1, Vienna Rain. No price available yet, but I'm predicting it'll be probably favourite or second favourite, be in that $2 to $3 range, I'm hoping. So I'd like to have 1.5 units to win on it. It was really good first up in a high rating race in this. The winner, Lillamore, has come out and it ran third on Wednesday or yesterday. And this horse was bumped at the 50 metres, but still ran home in the best closing sectional of the race, which I think, says something about its run, says something about it as a racehorse. Won its maiden at this track and trip, has formed around some of the top 3-year-olds in Russian Camelot and Oasis Go. I think it was 3 links off Russian Camelot in a stakes race over 1,800 metres. Also run about 3 links off Oasis Girl start before that. So it's got some really good form for a Kembla Grange Class 1. And it's also won on the wet. It will give us every high, but I'd say probably lead or box seat, somewhere around there. It would be in the front 4 anyway, and I think it would definitely give us every chance up on speed. So, yeah, like I said, 1.5 units each way. I've just written down if it's under $2.50 at opening, I'm just going to throw in Windstorm, who's $1.40, just for a bit of value there, in Belmont Race 5, number 10, because it should just be winning. So,
Righto, well, I'm just catching up on that race 5, number 10, Windstorm. And how much are we having on that, mate?
So 1.5 unit to win. If Vienna Rain opens up under $2.50, throw Windstorm in. If it opens up over $2.50, just back Vienna Rain.
Righto. You've made it tricking on me.
You got that?
You guys. Yeah. Geez. I'm not that old, but I feel like it after that. All right, I'll go back to you, and hopefully we can sort that out before we air that to the punters. Adam, what do you got, mate? Anything?
No, nothing around the grounds this week, mate. I just did want to make mention from one last week. One of the horses that myself and also Lee threw out as one to follow a few podcasts back. Showmanship over in Perth. He bolted in. I just wanted to make mention of him because I really think this is a top class horse over in the West. I feel getting up to a mile 1,800. I think he'll be one of those horses around the mark for the Peters team in the Railway and Kingston Towns in the summer. So just wanted to make mention of that. He won by about 5 lengths under Pike. It was really impressive.
Yeah, he's a gun, that horse. You're taking the $2 or under every time, but I think he looks like the one that'll go through his grades and definitely be in the carnival come summertime. Lee, you got anything else, mate? I don't have anything around the grounds.
No, nothing else from me.
All right, well, that is the 7th edition of the podcast. We've thrown it up on Spotify. We had a couple of technical issues last week with YouTube, but we're going to get that going again. And hopefully we'll be on Apple and every other podcast you can think of. It'll be out there. We love hearing your feedback, guys. Keep listening. Give us your feedback. We're going to try and do some competitions. We're going to try and do some different things in the next couple of weeks and over the journey. So keep liking, keep commenting, keep tagging, and come along for the journey with us. Thanks again.
Yeah,
and,
I think, sorry, mate, to interrupt. I think, if any followers have any ideas for competitions or anything like that they'd like to see us run, obviously comment or let us know, and that would that would be the best way to sort of include people and include followers, that sort of stuff. So, yeah, give us a shout if you've got any ideas for competitions that we can do.
Yeah, and obviously the more people you can tell about our podcast about to them. Bit of a dummy spit, that one, but the more people that follow, the greater chance we have of putting on these competitions and stuff like that. So don't be quiet out there, people. All right, thanks again, and good luck on the weekend. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, mate. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and get involved in the comments. Best of luck and happy punting.
Can he do it? Chautauqua, he's flying. Yes, there's history.
But a champion becomes a legend. McConey Dever has won it. The pride of Australia is the greatest show on earth.